Hi y'all, so this is basically going to be a drum major introductory video since we didn't get to have one at the end of the year, so stay tuned. So first, starting with stance, feet should be shoulder width apart. You can either have them in a row or have one more in front of the other. That's the one I like to do, it's just whatever you're comfortable with. Make sure you don't lock your knees, have them slightly bent. Make sure your hips are rolled forward just to save yourself from back pain, and also it looks better. I usually engage my core muscles a little bit because the podium was always wobbly. Make sure your shoulders are down and back. It helps you look more confident, and keep your chin up. Alright, now for the fun part, conducting. So basically you want to keep your arms where your shoulders are and lift up your forearms so that they're about parallel to the ground. And you want to pretend there's an imaginary table in front of you, and on every downbeat you should lightly smack a point on your table, and this represents the point of each beat, and that point is called your ictus. So basically, one, 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 just tapping each beat. And so for each movement of your arm, keep your fingers together. You can put a rubber band around them to help keep them together. Your thumb can just be kind of chilling right there. Your wrist, I like to bend it up just a little bit so that the band can see the palm of my hand, but make sure when you hit your ictus point, your wrist does not flap down like that. It has to stay flat against your imaginary table. Most of the movement should be coming from the pivot at your elbow. So most of the movement should be in here and not in your wrist. You don't want to be like this, and you don't want to use your whole arm either. So just practice with your good stance, shoulders back, chin up, looking confident. Bringing your arms like this, and just practice going up and down and smacking your little ictus point. Okay, let's get into patterns. So most commonly you will be conducting in 4/4, which is down, in, out, up, 1, 2, 3, 4. And before you get into any of these patterns that I'm about to show you, I recommend going in front of a mirror and just practicing ones just like this to make sure that you can do it with both of your arms doing the same thing and you're not unsynced, if you will. So 4/4, down, in, out, up. Make sure on beat 2, 1, 2, you're not letting your hands overlap or hit each other. So 1, 2, they should have some space. And on beat 3, 1, 2, 3, don't flip your palms over. Keep your palms facing the ground. I used to do that a lot. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 3/4 is just down, out, up, down, out, up, 1, 2, 3. Two, 4 is just out, up, out, up, out, up. Get good at that one because that's what the fight song is, and you're going to have to do it really fast. Or you could do it the way Mr. White does it and go like this, I don't know how to do that style of conducting. I don't know if I just did that right. Ask him about it. It feels weird to me. You don't have to do it. Alright, so one thing I forgot to talk about for conducting is the cutoff. For most songs, at least right now in this stage where you're at, you're going to just do a cutoff on 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, off. And notice I modified beat 3, and that's because normally you would go 1, 2, 3. Beat 3 would be going out, but since we're doing a 2 beat cutoff, you're doing a circle on 4, and then you're cutting it off on beat 1. You want beat 3 to be letting the band know that the cutoff is coming, so you always let the band know what you're about to do 1 beat in advance so that they can do it the next beat. So since beat 3 is usually that way, 1, 2, 3, you want to make beat 3 go the opposite way. So 1, 2, 3, just double up on it. And then 4, letting them know again, and then 1 is actually cutting them off. So when you're starting a song, bring your arms up into this position. You're going to do mark time, mark up, and then you're going to give them 4 beats to prepare themselves. That's how we usually do it. So this, Mr. White changed it to using your right hand. It used to be left. Go with right, I guess. You want to do a prep beat before you actually start. Remember, you're reminding the band of what's about to happen. So mark time, mark up. And if you're having a problem with remembering to do the prep beat with your hand before actually doing the mark time, mark up, try and remember it by breathing in, mark time, mark up. And also, when you're doing the smaller beats with your hand, you still want to add a little bit of rebound to every time you hit your ictus so that it's clear to the band where the beat is, even though it's just a smaller motion with your hand. So, mark time, mark up, 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice when I'm conducting, the beats that I'm making bigger, those are the prep beats. So when you go into the 1, 2, 3, 4, the beat right before is going to be big so that it's, again, it's like a cue and it's letting the band know, hey, you're coming in. So mark, time, mark, up, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, and so on. Alright, now for vocals. I'm not going to say a ton because all the phrases keep changing and I don't know what Mr. White wants you to do for each scenario. So I'm going to use set as an example. Whenever you're doing vocal commands, you want to project from your diaphragm and your abdomen and avoid using your head voice. If you're female, like me, I find it helpful to lower the pitch of your voice just a little bit because it helped me stay away from trying to use my head voice, and it would always like remind me to use my abdomen, and also having a little bit lower pitch helps your voice carry more across the field. Make sure when you're doing the vocal commands, your words are short so that they can still stay clear when they're being echoed across everywhere. Especially when you're doing multiple words in a row, like Ben 10 Hut, you want to shorten them, and you don't have to clearly enunciate the ending of each word. Like, you can say set and not set. You don't have to enunciate the end of each word. Also, make sure when you're giving out commands, yes, do your best to be loud and try and read like their facial expressions and stuff to tell if they heard you and they understand you. Be loud, but make sure the tone of your voice isn't angry because no one likes being yelled at all day during a rehearsal. Make sure you're being nice. Also, when you're saying like a certain sequence for the band to follow or giving any sort of command like that, make sure that you speak with a downspeak and not an upspeak. That means instead of ending your sentence like this, make sure you end it like this and go down at the end of your sentence, because it makes you sound more confident and it makes you sound like you know what you're doing. And this is kind of getting into like more general tips, but even if you don't know what you're doing, act like you know what you're doing, because the worst thing is to have an entire band riddled with confusion and then no one knows what to do and it's chaos, and then it's really hard to get back on track. And also if it's like in the middle of a performance or something, I remember I think it was my first football game, I cut off like a measure too early. They just kept playing, they don't watch. Play it off. If you don't act like you messed up, majority of people won't be able to tell. So just act like you know what you're doing. If you make a mistake, make sure you apologize and just say it's your fault. Just, hey guys, my bad. And then immediately redirect and redo whatever you're going to do. Because it's really easy to, whenever you mess up, to end up making it a big deal, and then you lose all of the momentum from rehearsal. So make sure after you apologize, you're going to be messing up a lot when you start. So that's why I'm including this. After you apologize and say, I'm sorry guys, my fault, go back and say, okay, top of the phrase, or reset one, whatever you need to do. And remember, it is normal to mess up when you're new at something, so don't feel bad. Alright, pretty much some final tips. Be nice to people. That is really important. Be nice and be their friend, because they are your classmates after all. You are not better than them. Do not ever think that. And also remember, giving out push-ups, it doesn't do that much really. Like, it reinforces that, hey, this person wasn't supposed to do this. But if the person doesn't care about it to begin with, then they probably don't care about the push-ups either. Never be rude to someone if they like break a rule or something. When you're rude to someone, that is the fastest way for anybody to lose respect for you. And also, it's mean. Don't do that. It's not hard to be respected by your other classmates if you're just nice and act like their friend, like normal. But also, you make sure if you create any rules, it applies to absolutely everyone and every scenario. You don't just get to pick when and for who the rules don't apply to. That's also a really fast way to make things unfair for everyone in the band. So make sure if there's any rules that you're trying to reinforce, you always do it and you never just let it slide. Most importantly, just have fun. You know, it's not that deep. That is what I always tell myself if I'm freaking out over something. It is not that deep. And there are probably a million other people who would do a way worse job than you would. Don't let that discourage you from always trying to do your best though. Always do your personal best. Just like how Jim Walker says, play the very best you can. Alright, if y'all have any questions or want any advice, just reach out to me, text me, Instagram, DM me, email me, any reasonable form of communication. If you don't have it already, Mr. White can give you something. Good luck, y'all.